taking action for you this morning.
What's happening in entertainment? From Tinseltown to the Big Apple, this is your weekly entertainment magazine with Greg Dunmore of PulseBeat.tv.
Pulse of a new generation, PulseBeat.tv.
Welcome to another edition of the Emmy-nominated PulseBeat with Greg Dunmore. We're standing in front of Detroit's gorgeous riverfront with this international view of Canada. And we're also on the site of where Joe Louis Arena used to be. And now it is the site of Detroit's newest luxury apartment building, the Water Square. We're going to go to its rooftop where we're going to talk to the wondrous author, motivational speaker, and millionaires, Dr. Asha Tyson. And as we are in your, well, I call it, why go on a vacation when you live here, which used to be Joe Louis Arena in the heart of downtown Detroit. And we're celebrating in this rooftop setting, which is, why go to Hollywood? Just go to the rooftop here. But you made several metaphors with the building and what it symbolizes in terms of your journey. Would you just briefly go over that, because you said something very profound?
It's gonna make me cry. This is what I didn't want to do, was cry. So it's something about the height. Now, I am afraid of heights, and I've tried to overcome that. I've jumped out of an airplane 14,000 feet out of the air, thought that would do it. It didn't. I'm just glad I landed on my feet and all was well there. And so, you know, the top, still afraid of heights, but it is something so profound about being high. It makes everything so minuscule. It's so tiny that it helps me to really hone in on the perspective of just how insignificant my life is. And when I say that, I don't mean to the sense of no self-esteem in that regards, but in terms of just how large the world is, and how large I believe I make no apologies for being Christian, and how large my God is and what He's done for me, and loving my little bitty self despite it all in a world that, just so huge. It's like He sees me, He loves me, and it just floors me. It leaves me speechless, and not much else does.
How much can you pack in 55 years? How much? How many books? How many processes? How many courses? How many classes? How many friends can you pack into 55 years? There's family, there's middle school, there's high school, there's first jobs, there's college. Those that came later on, those that you may have helped goes to write a book or two. How much can you put into 55 years? And the answer is all that God will allow.
I'm looking at you in your regalia that is it's regal, and it signals I am a PhD, but you've got a badge, a medal that is so magnificent. Let us know about the medal.
So I was awarded, it's not just about making money, it's also about how you use it as a tool to help others. So I do quite a bit of volunteer work, and I was recognized for some of that work during the Obama administration. So that's the lifetime of, yeah.
That is something that is history making, you know.
It does. For volunteer services, lifetime achievement is not complete unless you're doing some giving and you're sharing what you've come to learn, and not just monetary, but also time. And a company recognized my work and wrote in to the Obama administration, and that was how it happened. I wasn't working on it, trying for it, just putting one foot in front of the other was what I was doing.
Now, your life story is really a movie, and how do you sum up a movie when you only have so much time? So I want you to unfold the story, and then we're going to talk about you as an author. But let's now talk about how your challenging life has been a blessing.
Yes, that's what it ultimately was, and I do get it now. I wasn't real clear on it before, but I get why Maya Angelou said, I take nothing from my journey now. I get it. I absolutely get it. It's invaluable. It's my journey, and I take nothing for it. So I was born in Detroit to a dying woman. My mother did indeed have sickle cell anemia. She was a single mom, and she raised me alone. I knew who my father was, but I did not always know where he was. He was absent from the home. And my mother did her best. She really did. It took some years for me to come to know that, but she did her best. She, with the help of a state-provided housekeeper in those days, she kept a clean home, and she kept me clean, and she made sure I was in school and that I got my schoolwork done. And my mother, with age, became mentally ill. She became, by the time I was 17 years old, she had become homicidal, schizophrenic, and she had tried to kill me several times. It wasn't uncommon, Greg, to find myself bound to the bed with rope, or beaten until I passed out, thrown through glass doors and windows, left to sleep outside in Michigan, which, as you know, could be below zero weather. And that is because she was in and out of reality. And I couldn't get help. You know, back then, they really just chalked it off to, you teenagers think you know everything, you know, you just go back home, honey, work things out with your mom. And I'm trying to tell them, this isn't, you know, teenage stuff. This isn't, I want to date some guy with a van, or this isn't, I'm trying to get a tattoo. You know, this is, my mother doesn't always recognize me, and I could wake up to her brandishing a knife. And so I couldn't get help. I didn't really fit, Greg. So that mental illness really led me into a devastating place. By the time I was 17, I had lived 12 different places my senior year in high school. Just, you know, living with friends here, friends there. Nobody could really take in a child and commit to it. I was like a virtual orphan. So I ultimately ended up just homeless. One of the mothers of one of the children I went to school with, she just said, listen, I'm not gonna be able to take care of another kid. I'm barely taking care of my own. She made a few phone calls and took me to the Baldwin Avenue Methodist Church in Pontiac, which operated a homeless shelter in their basement. And I didn't fit the profile there either. I didn't fit. I wasn't supposed to be there. The way the shelter ran was children were only allowed if they were accompanied by an adult. I didn't have an adult, and I was considered a minor at 17. You also were only supposed to be there for 2 weeks. So I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to the pastor, and I told him I had goals, that I had dreams. Wasn't sure how I was gonna get there. I didn't tell him that part, but I told him I had a plan. And I had planned to do great things with my life. And if he would let me stay until I graduated from high school, which would have held me there in the shelter for about 2 months, not 2 weeks, and no parent. So I said, I won't cause any trouble. I'll go to school in the day. Just please let me stay here until I graduate. I got to get that high school diploma. And that worked. And I believed that education was gonna be my ticket out. And I went to a college that did not expect me. I have packed everything I owned. What I didn't know yet is that Greyhound had lost it all. Yes, on the way up there. I paid extra and everything. I bought this, my last money from working an Arby's job from the homeless shelter. Last money, I bought this one-way bus ticket, and I paid extra to have them ship some of my things over to this school. Never did see those things again, Greg, but I kept pushing. So now I have chicken wings in a shoebox, that's all I got, and $80 in my pocket and the clothes on my back. I go into administration, and essentially I begged my way in. I was in Hancock, Michigan, and SUNY was a 2-year school at the time. They later, fast forward to modern times, they later turned into a 4-year university, Finlandia University, that unfortunately closed last year. But that school was a blessing to me. They let me in. Here's the thing, I went up to them, brave and all, and I sat down. The lady asked me name. She wasn't looking up, because this is the first day of school. It's like a zoo on campuses the first day of school. People are moving in, trying to get classes. You know, things are falling through the cracks. People are everywhere. She's like, name. And I tell her. Now, I don't think I'm in her system, but I tell her anyway. I don't know, maybe we'll both be surprised. So I tell her. Sure enough, it wasn't in there. And so I just level with her. She said, I don't see you here. I said, ma'am, let me just tell you. My mother's dying, and she's lost her mind. If you know where my father is, you tell me and we'll both know. If I took all the right tests, I promise you I got all the wrong answers. But what I do have is integrity, and I know how to work hard. If you will help me get into this school, I will do something with my life, or I'll just die trying. I'll never give up. I need a shot. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for a hand up. Can you help me? That was what I said. That's what got me into college, Greg.
Stay tuned and we'll be right back. More with PULSEBEAT with Greg Dunmore.
PULSEBEAT.
All aboard!
There's a new way to travel, and it's one of the oldest forms of transportation. Travel by train. Yes, consider traveling around the United States on Amtrak. Traveling by train is a lot less of a headache than taking a plane, and you'd be surprised how many places you can go on an Amtrak. And there's no passports or IDs needed. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now. We'll book your trip and email your tickets within minutes. Skip the drive to the airport and skip the lines. Call right now to book your Amtrak reservations. We service most of the United States. Do something new. Travel by Amtrak today. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now.
Call 855-827-5004. That's 855-827-5004. Again, 855-827-5004.
PULSEBEAT.
It's been said that Nelson Mandela was asked at a later point in his life, what would you want more of, more knowledge or more money? And he responded, more money. And people thought, why would you say more money, which seemed so superficial, given that it is true that knowledge is divine? He said, well, look at it this way. I don't ask God for things I don't need. He had a lot of knowledge and understood the importance of money. So I'm saying that you retired at age 26. It's not just about the leisure, but the luxury of being financially solvent and in a position to pay your bills. Well, let me get to the point. How does it feel to be a millionaire?
Oh my God, he just breaks with it. You know, interestingly enough, the day that I hit the first millionth dollar, would you believe it wasn't, you would think you would hear thunder roar, or you would hear, it really, because getting to that, Greg, it's something that's happening to you all along. You know, I often tell my clients, I say, you know, make the goal becoming a millionaire not for the money, but for what it will make of you to become it. Because you'll have to do it for what it will require of your communication skills, what it will require of you learning about taxes, about self-esteem, about confidence, about negotiation, about humility. Can you enter a room full of people who know less than you and still have the humility to serve? Can you enter a room full of people who know more than you and still know that I still have something to contribute here? You're doing it for the character. I tell you, that day we went to Red Lobster. I mean, it wasn't even really like a super big deal. I didn't go to a super expensive restaurant. I had a taste for, you know, shrimp Alfredo, so that's what we did.
Now, you know, people get this confused. People often get this confused. They will say, money is the root of all evil, but it's actually the love of money that is all evil. What say you, Dr. Tyson?
I would have to agree with that 100%. So it was never the money that I loved. It was always the ability to serve people and to realize that you deserve to be compensated for your gifts. And putting those two together, the service and the compensation for the problem that you're solving, is going to bring the money. And the money is a tool so that you can do more of the same, which is service, more of the service. It's a cycle. It's a prosperity cycle.
Now, your book entitled, How I Retired, with an ED at the end, retired. Was it a calling that
Yes,
you
sir.
were in bed and God said, you shall retire at age 26? Or did you evolve to understand you could do that?
I evolved into understanding that I could do it, in particular when I had decided that retirement had a stale definition and that what we needed in society was a new retire mentality. We needed to understand that retirement did not mean set out to pasture, stop using your gifts, and sit Mai Tais on the beach until you die. No, human beings were engineered to serve. We're engineered to do, to go. If you think about it, most people, if you were to interview many people that are working 9-to-5 jobs, if they are wanting to quit, if they would rather do something else, that is indeed what they want. They would rather do something else. They're never looking to, I just want to get out of here and do nothing. That's never it. It's always, I would rather be doing, and then fill in that blank on what that dream is. Most people really want to do something. They just want to do something more fulfilling.
I retired at 26, a step-by-step guide to assessing your freedom and wealth at any age.
And we never changed the cover, Greg. We didn't. My team and I decided not to change the cover. I'm old enough now to be her mother.
How and why were you motivated to write this book? Were you surprised that it became a bestseller and that it's an evergreen that will never go out of publication?
Yeah.
So let us know.
So I was inspired to write it because I'm often someone who listens to what the need is. I don't just create because I think I have something to create. I don't know that I'm that kind of creative. I wait to hear where the need is. What's hurting? What pain can I soothe? What's the problem? What can I answer? And I was traveling the country, and I was speaking for Fortune 500 companies and for blue chip nonprofit organizations, teaching interpersonal skills and leadership and communication skills. And I would tell, as part of the introduction, I would tell a little bit of my story, and people would say, oh, you ought to write a book. Oh, you ought to write a book. And I heard it so often, so many parts of the country, from people who looked so different, all different ages, all different nationalities. And so I thought, well, maybe I should write a book. Maybe it could uplift. Maybe it would make a difference. So that's where the inspiration came from. I heard a need, and I thought I was answering to a call. But it really does start with the mindset. Money is everywhere. I mean, after you gain a mindset of abundance, you will struggle not to make money. It's kind of like it falls at you at that point. But the question really becomes, do you understand what it means to have a growth mindset, an abundant mindset? And I would recommend that be the first place you start. The second takeaway would be allow the challenges to build you. If you let them wear you down like a bar of soap, you'll lose your hope. And without hope, you won't be able to see the glass half full. And you have to see through a lens of optimistic understanding, or you won't be able to see what's in front of you. It could be $1 million laying there, but you will miss it if you're shifted in a way that's pessimistic. The third thing that I would say is be gentle with yourself. Most people are as hard on themselves as was someone who bullied them when they were in their youth, or as was a parent who had not treated them with the kind of respect a parent should treat them with. Make sure you're not continuing the job of your enemy.
May God bless you so you can continue to bless us, Doctor. Oh, I love saying doctor. Dr. Asha Tyson, the amazing, remarkable Dr. Asha Tyson.
PulseBeat.
Here's an important message from the US Med Diabetes Solutions Center. If you have diabetes, you know the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce your pain right away. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. So call us right now to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. US Med. Better service. Better care.
You ready to put your podcast on iHeartRadio? Yes, your podcast on iHeartRadio. What about Alexa, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android, or iPhone? Plus live TV streaming. Get your podcast seen and heard all over the world. Call 313-868-6612. Pre-recorded shows are accepted to be archived. This is a WHPR distribution platform. Download the app from the App Store. Go to WHPRTV.com. Channels available for lease 24/7 on Roku, Fire Stick, or Apple TV. Coming soon, subscription and pay-per-view.
Also,
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer R.J. Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM WGPR HD2. RadioWeCanSee.com.
Pulse beat.
Major League Baseball has a long history, but for too long, only white players were allowed to play in the MLB. So black players built their own leagues and wrote their own history. Hamtramck Stadium was completed in 1930 and was home field for the Detroit Stars, one of the league's founding members. Today, just 5 original league stadiums still stand, including this one. Legends played here in Hamtramck. Andy Cooper, a southpaw with 120 wins. Turkey Stearns, a 6-time home run leader and recent major, yes. We got family in the house today, so. Recent Major League Hall of Fame inductee who led the team in nearly every batting statistic. And Michigan-born Ron Teasley, one of the league's last surviving players. He shared this field with Willie Mays, may he rest in power, and even number 42 himself, Jackie Robinson. 18 players who played right here in Hamtramck Stadium made it all the way to Cooperstown. So their stories are baseball history. And I'm so proud that this stadium was restored and grateful that the MLB decided to incorporate their achievements into the official record books. I want to thank everyone who is a part of that story, the past and currently keeping it alive today, because those stories matter. Their achievements must count, and we must educate and remind people about it. And that's why we're here today on Juneteenth. Today's legislation will enshrine that here in Michigan. We acknowledge players who made history and honor their memories. Everyone deserves to play, and every story deserves to be told and remembered. And that's why today I'm going to be signing Representative Helena Scott's bipartisan bill to honor the history of black baseball players and teams in Michigan.
this day is a powerful liberation, and I'm proud to share that Michigan has taken significant steps to honor both Juneteenth and the Negro Leagues. Last year, my legislation to formally recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday, Public Act 215, was enacted. This legislation not only memorializes a pivotal moment in history, but also reaffirms our commitment to educating future generations about the profound impact of slavery and the long journey towards equality. We cannot afford to forget the history of our country.
Let us know why this bill is distinctively remarkable.
So the Negro League Day bill is remarkable because we are celebrating the history, the legacy of our Negro League players. My great uncle Ron, who is 97 years old, was an original Negro Leaguer. He actually played on this field in Hamtramck. So that's why it was so important for me to make sure, and in addition to not just him, but the other players, the Turkey Stearns family, to make sure that I got this bill across the finish line. I've been working on this legislation, honestly, for about almost 4 years. My first term in office, I had my great uncle Ron up at the Capitol. We honored him with a tribute on both years of my first term. And then when we got majority 2 years ago, I said, you know what, I'm going to work tirelessly and relentlessly to make sure that this becomes law in the state of Michigan, because we had majority of the House and the Senate, and I knew that I could get the votes, and I had the confidence and the support of our great Speaker of the House, Joe Tate, that was totally behind this 100%. So I'm so proud and honored that I was able to do this for the legacy of all the ball players and to make sure that this happened across the finish line.
On the Juneteenth, and also celebrating now the legacy of the late, great Willie Mays.
One of the greatest men to ever play the game. First, I want to thank Helena for having the vision to put the resources in this field. Because when I was a county commissioner, when I toured that stadium, the stands were dry rotted, and I was trying to do something, I didn't get the help. But you know, God works it out anyway, and it doesn't have to be me. It took a young lady and a beautiful woman named Helena Scott to bring it to reality. So to me, it's very special too, because my dad played in there in the 30s. And he went to Hamtramck High School. They lived on Dyer, went to Copernicus. Copernicus was the high school back in those days, and it's very sentimental to me.
I want to also thank the Hamtramck Conservancy that really worked really hard and diligently to make sure that this field was restored to its original glory. So we want to thank them and honor them as well.
The stadium was listed in the National Register of Historic Places in 2012, kickstarting the formation of the nonprofit Friends of Historic Hamtramck Stadium Group, with the mission to return it to use while honoring the history of Negro League baseball. The rehabilitation effort was substantial. The original grandstand steel structure and roof were completely rehabilitated, and the seating and ramps were reconstructed. Much of the work to the field met the specifications used by minor league baseball teams. Numerous local and federal partners contributed to the effort, including funds from the Community Development Block Grant Program, the Public Spaces Community Places crowdfunding match program, the National Park Service, and several foundations. Wayne County acted as the developer for the $2.6 million project. The transformation concluded in June 2022 with a dedication ceremony and a Juneteenth Negro Leagues tribute game. Players wore custom-made Detroit Stars uniforms and played the first game on Norman Turkey Stearns Field, named for the Hall of Fame outfielder who called Detroit home. Hamtramck Stadium's rehabilitated grandstand and restored field are now a regional destination and a thriving community recreational resource, giving new life to its place in baseball history.
And Detroit. With a successful practice serving the black community, Dr. Ocean Sweet and his wife Gladys decided to move out of Black Bottom and purchase a decent home for their growing family, choosing a house in an all-white neighborhood. On the second night after moving in, a large crowd numbering in the hundreds formed on the street just outside the house.
Someone shout, "There's someone coming." And it's his brother Otis coming from the Negro League baseball game. He runs downstairs to open up the door, and when he opens up the door, the mob rushes the house. Henry, in the meantime, is right there at this window. And when the mob rushes the house, shots ring out of the house. Some from here and then from other points in the house. After the smoke clears, the police department comes knock on the door, and they ask Dr. Sweet, "What are you doing? Why are you shooting?" Dr. Sweet said, "You see these people destroying my property?" He said, "Nobody's destroying your property. Stop shooting." And they arrest Dr. Sweet, his wife Gladys, brother Otis, Henry, his cousin John Ladden, his driver Joe Mack, and everybody on the streets began to cheer and shout. They're rushed down to Wayne County Jail, interrogated, and then charged with first-degree murder.